Hello students, my name is Krumal Patel and welcome to Sri Chandra's Rank Zone classes. I am your friend and mentor for classes with respect to economics, which is paper 4 of CA Foundation course. Till time we had completed unit 1 of part 1 of paper 4 and we started unit 2, that is basic problem of an economy and role of price mechanism. Unit 2 has been divided into 5 parts. First part is economic problem. Second part is for basic economic problem. Third part is the capitalist economy. Fourth part is socialist economy. And last part of the unit is mixed economy. We have already completed our first 3 parts, that is economic problem, basic economic problem, for basic economic problem, and the capitalist economy. Today we are discussing with the socialist economy part, that is sorry friends, today we are started with the socialist economy part, that is part 4 of the unit 2. Now understand what is socialist economy. The concept of socialist economy was pronounced by or propounded by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in 1848. In this economy, means of production, that is machine, factory, capital, mines, etc. are owned by the whole community represented by the state. In last lecture we had seen capitalist economy, under which means of production are owned and managed by private entities, while under socialist economy all means of production are owned and managed by the whole community. So it is a important part of economy. Means of production owned by whole community represented by the state. All the members are entitled to get the benefit from the fruits. Fruits means end result of the economic activities. So all the members are entitled to get benefit from the fruits of such socialized planned production on the basis of equal rights. So here all the members entitled to get the benefit on the basis of equal rights, irrespective of their contribution to economic activity. A socialist economy is also known as command economy as well as centrally planned economy, known as friends, is command economy or centrally planned economy. Next, here resources are allocated according to the command of the planning authority, central planning authority, and therefore market forces have no role in the allocation of resources. This is also important part of the socialist economy. Resources are allocated. Resources are allocated according to command. Command of whom? Command of central planning authority. Therefore, market forces which are present in the capitalist economy have no role in the allocation of resources under the capitalist economy. Sorry, under the socialist economy. Market forces have crucial role or play crucial role in capitalist economy. However, market forces have no role in the allocation of resources under socialist economy. Under socialist economy, production and distribution of goods are aimed at maximizing the welfare of the community as a whole instead of profit. Here, aim is to maximize the welfare of the society or community as a whole, which are the benefits of the capitalized economy, because capitalized economy aimed at maximizing the profit of the firm instead of welfare of the community. So, socialist economy, in which all the means of production are owned and managed and controlled by the whole economy represented by the state. All the members of the society are entitled to get benefits from the fruits of economic planned production on the basis of equal rights. Socialist economy is also called as command economy or centrally planned economy. In socialist economy, resources are allocated according to the command of central planning authority, and therefore market forces have no role in the allocation of the resources. Here, production and distribution of goods are aimed at maximizing the welfare of the community as a whole. Now, characteristics of the socialist economy. First characteristics of the socialist economy is collective ownership. Collective ownership of all means of production except small farms, workshop and trading firms which may remain in private hands. As a result of collective ownership or social ownership, profit motive and self-interest are not driving force of economic activity as it is in case of a market economy or capitalist economy. Profit motive and self-interest are not driving force of economic activity because collective ownership of the all means of production. The resources are used to achieve certain socio-economic objective. Resources are used to achieve some common goals or certain socio-economic objective or goals. Second, economic planning. Economic planning. Here, central planning authority set and accomplish some goals which are socio-economic in nature. That's why it is called centrally planned economy. The major economic decision are taken by the central planning authority. Major decision in respect to what to produce, when to produce, how to produce, and what mechanism to put in place for future consumption. Next, absence of consumer choices. The range of choice is limited. However, within that range, an individual is free to choose what he likes the most. In socialist economy, range of choices for individual are limited by planned production. But within that range, individual is free to choose any alternatives or any goods or services what he likes the most. Right to work. Similar way, right to work is guaranteed, but choice of occupation gets restricted because these are determined by the central planning authority on the basis of certain socio-economic goals before the nation. So individuals is an individual have right to work which are guaranteed by the central planning authority, but the choice of occupation or nature of occupation gets restricted due to the these are determined by the central planning authority considering the socio-economic objectives of the nation. Next is relatively equal income distribution. Relatively equal income distribution. Relative equality of income is an important feature of socialism. Among other things, difference in income and wealth are narrowed down by lack of opportunity to accumulate private capital. Individuals or firms having lesser opportunity to accumulate their private capital, so difference of income and wealth are narrowed down under socialist economy. Educational and other facilities education and other facilities are enjoyed more or less equally. Thus, the basic causes of inequalities are removed. Educational and other facilities are enjoyed more or less equally. Thus, the basic cause of inequalities are removed. Next, minimum role of price mechanism or market forces. Price mechanism exists in a socialist economy, but it has only a secondary role. As per example, to secure the disposal of accumulated stocks. So, price mechanism is there in a socialist economy, but it has only a secondary role. But it has only a secondary role. Since allocation of productive resources is done according to the predetermined plan, the price mechanism as such does not influence this decision, as allocation of resources according to the pre-planned. So price mechanism as such does not influence this decision of allocation of productive resources. In the absence of profit motive, price mechanism loses its predominant role in economic decision. Price prevailing under socialism are administered prices, which are set up by the Central Planning Authority on the basis of socio-economic objective. In other words, price prevailing or price determined by the Central Planning Authority according to the socio-economic objective under socialist economy is known as administered prices. Next, absence of competition. Since the state is the sole entrepreneur, so there is an absence of competition under socialism. The erstwhile USSR is an example of socialist economy. In today's world, there is no single country which are purely socialist. North Korea is another prominent example of socialist economy in some way. But today, there is no single country is purely socialist. So friends, we have seen total 6 characteristics of socialist economy. First is collective ownership. Second is economic planning. Third is absence of consumer choice. Fourth is relatively equal income distribution. Fifth is minimum role of price mechanism and market forces. And sixth is absence of competition. Under collective ownership, we think that all means of production are owned and governed by collective membership. As a result, profit motive and self-interest are not driving forces no more. The resources are used to achieve certain socio-economic objective. So all the means of production are owned by the collective ownership. Second is economic planning. Here, Central Planning Authority set and accomplish social economic goals. That's why it is called centrally planned economy. Major decision regarding what to produce, when to produce, how to produce, and what mechanism are to be in place, etc. are taken by the Central Planning Authority. Absence of consumer choices. The range of choices of individual is limited, but within that range, individual is free to choose what he likes the most. In similar way, right of work is guaranteed, but the choice of occupation get restricted. Relatively equal income distribution. The most important features of socialism. Difference in income and wealth are narrowed down by lack of opportunities to accumulate private capital. Educational and other facilities are enjoyed more or less equally, thus basic cause of inequalities are removed. Various opportunity of investing of funds or private capitals removed under socialist economy. So, investor having private capital found lack of opportunity to accumulate their capital. So, there is difference in economy and wealth are narrowed down under socialist economy. Minimum role of price mechanism or market forces. Price mechanism exists in social economic, but it has only a secondary role. Allocation according to the predetermined plan. So price mechanism as such does not influence the decision of allocation of productive resources. In the absence of profit motive, price mechanism loses its predominant role in economic decision. Price prevailing under socialism is set up by the Central Planning Authority on the basis of socio-economic objective are the administered prices. And last but not the least is absence of competition. Since the state itself is a sole entrepreneur, there is absence of competition under socialism. Now, friends, we look towards merits of socialist economy. You can easily point out some merits and demerits from characteristics itself. So, if you put proper attention at the time of characteristics, you will have better clarity about the merits and demerits. So friends, first merits of socialist economy is equitable distribution of wealth and income and provision of equal opportunities for all help to maintain economic and social justice. Equitable distribution of wealth and income, or as well as provision of equal opportunity for all to maintain economic and social justice. Rapid and balanced economic development. Under socialist economy, balanced economic development can be possible over a nation, as Central Planning Authority coordinates all the resources in an efficient manner according to the set priorities. All the resources in an efficient manner according to set priorities or predetermined objectives. Next is socialized economy is a planned economy. In a socialist economy, there will be a better utilization of under this economy, there will be a better utilization of resources and it ensure maximum production. To ensure maximum production, wastage of all kind of are avoided through strict economic planning. Since competition is absent, there is no wastage of resources on advertisement and sales promotion and marketing activities. There is no competition in the market, so no need of advertisement or sales promotion activities required. So cost of production has been reduced. Next, in a planned economy or socialist economy, unemployment is minimized, business fluctuations are eliminated, and stability is brought about and maintained. Unemployment ratio has been reduced in greater way under socialist economy and various business fluctuations are also eliminated and stability are placed in economy. Next, absence of profit motive helps the community to develop a cooperative or mentality and avoid class war. So various discrimination between various class of people has been avoided and cooperative mentality has been developed under socialist economy, which ensure welfare of the society, which ensures welfare of the societies. Next, socialism ensure right to work. Socialism ensure right to work. It ensures right to work and minimum standard of living of all the people. Standard of living of all the people. Under socialism, the laborer and consumer are protected from exploitation by the employers and monopolies respectively. There is a provision of comprehensive social security under socialism and this makes citizens feel secure. Comprehensive social security makes citizens feel secure. So, we have concluded merits of socialist economy. Friends, we quickly revise all the merits of socialist economy. First merit says equitable distribution of wealth and income and provision of equal opportunity for all to maintain economic and social justice. Equal distribution of wealth and income and opportunities. Next, rapid and balanced economic development. Because Central Planning Authority coordinates all the resources in efficient manner according to set priorities. Next, better utilization of resources which ensure maximum production and wastage of all kinds are avoided. Further, no wastage of resources on advertisement, sales promotion, etc. due to absence of competition. Next, unemployment is minimized. Business fluctuations are also eliminated and stability is brought in economy. Absence of profit motive, which helps the community to develop cooperative mentality and avoid various class war, which ensures welfare of the society. Next, socialism ensure right to work and minimum standard of living for all the people. The laborer and consumers are protected from exploitation by employers and monopolist entities respectively. There is a provision of comprehensive social security which makes citizens feel secure. Now we see demerits of socialist economy. Socialism involves predominance of bureaucracy and resulting in inefficiency and delays. Moreover, there may also be a corruption, red tapeism, favoritism, etc. It restricts the freedom of individuals, as there is a state ownership of material means of production and state direction and control of nearly all the economic activity. All the economic activity and means of production are controlled and owned by the state or central planning authority, so which restrict the freedom of individuals. Socialism takes away the basic rights such as right of private property of individual, because all the properties, all the means of production are owned and controlled by the central planning authority. Next, it will not provide necessary incentive to hard-working people in the form of profit. Not provide necessary incentive to hard work in the form of profit, because all the income and wealth are distributed on the basis of equality under socialist economy. Administered price are not determined by the force of the market on the basis of negotiation between buyers and sellers. There is no proper base for cost calculation. In the absence of such practice, most economic and scientific allocation of resources and efficient functioning of economic system are impossible. Due to administered price or price under socialist economy are not determined by the market forces, no proper cost calculation has been done. In absence of such practice, most economic and scientific allocation of resources and efficient functioning of economic system are impossible under socialist economy. Next, state monopolies created by socialism will sometimes become uncontrollable. State monopolies created will sometimes become uncontrollable. This will this will be more dangerous than the private monopolies under capitalism. Under socialism, consumers have no freedom of choices. Therefore, what what the state produces has to be accepted by the consumer. What state produces has to be accepted and consumed by the consumer. Next, no importance is given to personal efficiency and productivity. Here, all the laborers and employees have been treated as equal on the basis of right of equalities. So, laborers or efficient or skilled laborers are not rewarded according to their efficiency. This acts as disincentive to work. The extreme form of socialism is not at all practicable. The extreme form of socialism is not at all practicable. In real life, extreme form of socialism is not present or possible. Now, friends, we revise one by one all the demerits of socialist economy and conclude today's session. First demerit is resulting inefficiency and delay. Second is restrict the freedom of individuals. Third is it's take away the basic right such as right of private property. Next, it will not provide necessary incentive to hard work. Next is price is not determined on the basis of market forces, so no proper cost calculation has been done. In such practice or in absence of most economic and scientific allocation, resources and efficient functioning of economic system are not possible over a country. State monopolies sometimes become more uncontrollable. This will more dangerous than the private monopolies under capitalism. Consumers have no freedom of choice under socialist economy. No importance is given to personal efficiency and productivity. So, skilled or efficient laborers are not rewarded according to their efficiency, which acts as disincentive to work. Extreme form of socialism is not at all acceptable in real economy. So friends, today we have concluded our fourth part, that is socialist economy. First we think what is meant by socialist economy. Second is characteristics of socialist economy. Then we think merits of socialist economy, and lastly we done with demerits of socialist economy. In next lecture we take last part of the unit 2, that is mixed economy. which is just small parts left of unit 2 mixed economy, in which we have studied what you mean by mixed economy or mean by definition of mixed economy, then characteristics of mixed economy, then merits of mixed economy, and various sectors of mixed economy. So friends, see you next lecture. Till then, thank you.